Yo, what's good? Top of the top, episode 206, Stash House Podcast. Your boy Tyler checking in. First time listeners, thank y'all for tuning in. If you tune in weekly, salute. And just an episode, some topics you may want to hear about, salute to you as well. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, whatever you do to help support the podcast. Greatly appreciate it. Podcast available on all streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Like I said before, subscribe. Leave comments, feedback, put your people on. All greatly appreciated. I'm back off vacation. I was out in L.A. I'll get into more of that later on in this episode, but I'm back from vacation. It's well needed. I always say take time off from your job, from your side hustle, whatever you got to do to refresh your mind, get rejuvenated, refocus, do what you got to do. It was great. Honestly, it was great to take some time off from the podcast. I debated on taking another week off from the podcast, honestly, but I said, whatever, you know what I'm saying, come up, record, gonna get it out the way while it's still fresh on everyone's mind, these topics I'm about to discuss. So, yeah, like I always say, take time off, man, whenever you got time to. It's well needed. It's well needed. That's all I got to say. So, let's get to these topics, man. We're going back to Wrestlemania, of course. I know it's a lot of new music done dropped. A lot of stuff going on in TV world, sports. I'm going to get to all that in the upcoming weeks, but for right now, let's stick with wrestling and WrestleMania 39. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the matches, of course, the results. The ones I feel like I need to touch on, I'll touch on. And, of course, for night 2, I'll get more in-depth with it because I was at night 2 of WrestleMania and at the Raw after WrestleMania, so those I can get into more detail about, like the crowd reaction and a lot of things that I experienced in terms of seeing crowd reaction in person rather than on the internet or just how TV portrays it. So for night 1, just going through the results, and night 2, but night 2 I can get y'all more in-depth. And after night 2, because it was some news that broke right after WrestleMania was over with, some news that broke, big money business going on in the WWE. So I'm going to get to all that. Gets all of it. So right now, let's get to it. WrestleMania 39 went down in L.A. at SoFi Stadium last weekend. Night 1, the results. We had Austin Theory beat John Cena for the U.S. title. Overall, that match was kind of bland to me. I feel like Cena deserved more of a match. It was just too much of a regular match at WrestleMania for John Cena, but clearly that means Cena's about to go back to TV world, movie world, so I understood it. Street Profits pick up the W over Alpha Academy, Viking Raiders, and Braun Strowman and Ricochet. Very exciting match. Seth Rollins defeated Logan Paul. Becky Lynch, Lita, Trish Stratus defeated Damage Control. Rey Mysterio defeated Dominic Mysterio. Rhea Ripley defeated Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown's women's title, which probably was maybe top 2, maybe the top match of the weekend, honestly, in my opinion. In a impromptu match, Pat McAfee defeated The Miz. And for the main event of night 1, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeated the Usos for the undisputed tag team titles. First, let's get back to the Pat McAfee and The Miz match. One thing I noticed from night 2 and the Raw after Mania, and I can only imagine it was going on night 1 as well during this matchup, the crowd really wanted to see LA Knight. And like I said before, it's a difference when you in person and you talking to fellow wrestling fans and y'all having conversations. It's just like music. That's another thing. It's just like music. Like you seeing people with shirts on and y'all having conversations in the concession line or where you sitting at. It's just like having music debates. Only thing with wrestling is 9 times out of 10, everybody kind of on the same type of opinions in terms of I think they should do this, I think they should do that. Whether in music, most people got different opinions, but in wrestling, we kind of share the same opinions of how we think the card should look, who should match up with who. But LA Knight, going back to LA Knight, I can only imagine with this Pat McAfee and Miz match that LA Knight was wanted. And I'm going to talk about more about LA Knight with night 2 as well, but that's real quick. I do want to say that LA Knight, the fans want him to get that push. Trust me, I've heard it all weekend last weekend. LA Knight is a fan favorite. Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn defeating the Usos, man. Watching that match, very emotional. Like I said, I do feel like we should have got Sami Zayn versus Jey Uso at WrestleMania. We did get that match this past Friday on SmackDown. Didn't really have the same type of feel, in my opinion. I think it could have had at WrestleMania. But overall, the story was great of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And at first, like I said the week before last on the podcast, I feel like the outcome of that match could determine the Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes match. And clearly I was wrong. But overall, I'm not mad at how they told the story of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn finally beating the Usos. I feel like the Usos' title reign didn't get as much of the notoriety as Roman Reigns' title reign has had. But overall, I'm not mad at Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens winning. I'm looking to see now who can possibly beat them in the upcoming months, possibly, as a tag team. But we'll see where it goes. But overall, the emotion, the crowd reaction to that match, watching it on TV, I'm not mad at the result of that match. So shout out to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Two guys you can clearly see putting a lot of work throughout the years in different promotions and even in WWE. Like last year, Sami Zayn, WrestleMania, he was facing Johnny Knoxville. And as entertaining as that match was, he was facing Johnny Knoxville. And Kevin Owens, this was his second WrestleMania headline because last year he had a match with Stone Cold, which really was a brawl, but that was great to see Stone Cold back, and it shows that Kevin Owens has that respect to where Stone Cold will come back after all these years to headline WrestleMania to face Kevin Owens. So both of those guys been grinding for a long, long time, and it's great to see their hard work paying off. I still think the ceiling is very, very high for them in terms of their solo careers, but as of now, as a tag team, I enjoy it. I enjoyed it, and seeing the crowd reaction that Monday after Raw when they came out, clearly it was the right decision to make. One of the decisions that the company made right on WrestleMania weekend that I can say. But, yeah, once again, shout out to Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. And the Usos will be just fine. They won multiple tag team titles. They've held the tag team titles. Before this reign was ended, they held it for a long time. So the Usos will be just fine. And, of course, that whole bloodline storyline is still going on as we speak. So night one overall, watching it on TV, I was very satisfied with night one. I was very, very satisfied. Now, night two, I was there. I was in the building. First off, riding through L.A. to get to SoFi Stadium. First off, man, it's right by the Forum. I did not know that. I did not know SoFi Stadium was right by the Forum. It was great to see the Forum. Overall, L.A., I'm going to say this again later on. Overall, in L.A., me being a Lakers fan and me being somebody who loves West Coast music, it was great to see like these cultural buildings, being inside the culture of the West Coast, seeing the Forum, and me being the person I am, I'm like, yo, that's the Forum. Like Magic Johnson was up in there, Kareem, you know what I'm saying? Kobe played there. The famous nightclub that the Buss family had, that was over there. So I'm thinking about all the stuff going on in the 80s and the early 90s of the Forum. I'm like, yo, that's the Forum, you know what I'm saying? So that was dope to see being in line at SoFi, and SoFi is amazing. You really can't see the architecture of it, the building in terms of the drone footage you see over the top. You really can't see that from the ground level, but when you get inside and see it, like just looking around, and me being somebody who's into production and stage presence and how a building is made, just looking at the different poles and wires and all type of shit going on inside of SoFi Stadium, man, it's a great scene to see. And that's my first time being in a football stadium since like 2004, 2005 when the Georgia Dome was still open. Like I haven't been inside of a football stadium in terms of professional football stadium in a long time. So for the minute, until the show started, I was just sitting around just looking like, man, this is incredible, like, structure. You know what I'm saying? The WrestleMania set looked amazing in person. Overall, it was a sight to see. Night two started off a little bit rocky compared to night one. If I had to make a comparison, I want to say night one might have had the edge over night two just a little bit. Just a little bit. And, of course, with the outcome of night two, most people might say night one was better than night two. But night two being there, our section that we was in, some of those people were there the night before, and they was telling us the atmosphere and all that was going on. So night two started off a little bit slow for me. We had Brock Lesnar to defeat Omos. it was the match I thought it would be. You know what I'm saying? Can Brock Lesnar pick him up? Can Brock Lesnar slam him? How many times can Brock Lesnar slam him? It was the story. That was the story of it. The crowd was hyped for Brock Lesnar picking up Omos and everything. I can't say that, but overall, go ahead and get that match out the way. So that happened. Then the next match was another match. We was like, okay, let's go ahead and get this out the way. We had Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler defeat Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya, Shotzi, and Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. The crowd was dead for it. The outcome of the match I didn't really like because I could tell y'all from being there, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler was on the outside of the ring the entire match. And they just came in at the end and stole a victory. And the crowd was like, okay, that's 2 matches back-to-back now that we understand what y'all doing. We understand they'll get these 2 matches out the way, but the crowd did start on, like, the downward, level on night 2. I will say that. Next up, though, we got a banger. Gunther defeated Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. The crowd was on 10 the entire time. Everybody knew this match was going to be great. Another one of the matches I feel like was one of the best matches of the weekend. This triple threat match, the crowd was on 10. The crowd loved Drew McIntyre. The crowd loved Sheamus. The crowd loves Gunther as well. It was an incredible match. Hard-hitting match, a banger, as we say. It was definitely a banger. The crowd was on 10 for it the entire time. So shout out to those 3 guys for putting on an amazing match. Next match, we had Bianca Belair defeated Asuka for the Raw Women's title. I saw the girls. Bianca had come out for her entrance. And, of course, we figured out later on that night during the press conference, Triple H said the lead girl, I'll say, I forgot the actual name that they called her, but she was the lead girl in that dance group. She had lost her mom. Her mom had passed away early that morning. And just looking back at it now that they were performing, like she was not stage shy. She didn't show any, like, emotion or nothing like that her mom passed away. So for that little girl to go on stage in front of, like, 80,000 people, you know what I'm saying, the day of her mom passing away and performing like that with Bianca Belair, that was dope. That was dope. And shout out to Bianca Belair for doing that. They all were black, young black girls too, by the way. So that was dope. And like I said, hearing Triple H say that later on that night that that girl mom passed away, showing her strength like she did, that was dope. That was dope. The one thing y'all do know, I did want Asuka to win that match. What I didn't understand was you had Bianca Belair duck the mist of Asuka. Meanwhile, you just had the Great Muta who made the mist popular inducted to the Hall of Fame that same weekend. So that's my thing when it comes to Bianca Belair. Yes, she's a champion. She's a generational talent, not taking nothing away from her talent skills at all, but I just feel like the push, it just coming, I get it. Like, she's won, 2-3 titles. She's held the belt for a year now. I understand it, but, we just keep putting Asuka in these situations where everybody knows the dominance and the talent Asuka have. They just keep having her lose to, the champion at the time. And I'm like, I understand it, but once again, I would love to see Bianca Belair turn heel. I know that's crazy saying now after what I just said about the girls coming out perform, but I would love to see a Bianca Belair heel run as the champion. And they tease her and Rhea Ripley eventually because they're on 2 separate shows now. So that would be great to see when it comes time to it. But, yeah, I just didn't get having Bianca duck the mist of Asuka when you just got the guy who made the mist famous inducted to the Hall of Fame. That just kind of – I feel like it could have went a different direction. You could have still had her get missed and win the match. You know what I'm saying? Some way, somehow. But overall, it was a cool match. Next, another impromptu match with The Miz. Only The Miz can do these impromptu matches at WrestleMania, by the way. If it wasn't Sami Zayn, it's The Miz. Miz will just do it. He's a professional. He'll do it. Put anybody in the ring with him, whether it's Pat McAfee, George Kittle from San Francisco 49ers. As we saw Sunday, I was there with Snoop Dogg. Miz will do it. Miz will do it. But the initial match was supposed to be Shane McMahon, and when Shane came out, it was a pop. It was definitely a pop because Shane, he left on bad terms. And not even 30 minutes into the impromptu match, he blew his quad out or something like that. And being there, it was like, oh, what just happened? like he went up for it. He jumped up and Miz went under. And when Shane landed, his quad just gave out. It was like, oh, well, damn. So I heard on television that they were just showing the Miz face. They wasn't showing Shane McMahon, but being there, yeah, Shane was obviously like something went wrong. And Snoop Dogg just came in and just punched Miz like twice and did like the weakest people elbow I ever seen in my life. I can only imagine how it looked on TV. Being there in person, everybody was looking like, yo, what the? Because like I said, everybody wanted to see LA Knight. So when that happened with Shane, instead of Snoop Dogg coming in and doing what he did, everybody was chanting LA Knight because they thought LA Knight was coming out. So Snoop Dogg doing that, and this show Snoop Dogg improvising the way he did and the Miz going along with it, it was dope to see. Like I say, it's professional wrestling. Yes, the matches are scripted in terms of, yo, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You go take this bump. You can hear them in the, like, wrestling. You can tell when they whispering. That happens. But when it's improvised like that, you can clearly see it's improvised. You know what I'm saying? So, in my opinion, it was good thinking in terms of Snoop and the Miz doing what they doing, but at the same time, that crowd wanted LA Knight. I think the crowd would probably prefer LA Knight before Shane McMahon. And then Bobby Lashley came out as well Sunday night, and everybody thought, oh, LA Knight coming out then. It was like 5 times the crowd wanted to see LA Knight Sunday. I was there. The crowd wanted to see LA Knight. I just want to drive that fact home that seeing it in person, that's the guy that everybody wants to see get pushed now. So that's all I got from that Miz and Snoop Dogg interaction. It was fun to see. It was funny as hell. I hope Shane McMahon is all right, but it just goes to show even the biggest event of wrestling throughout the year, things happen and you got to improvise. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Snoop Dogg and the Miz. Another match that had to get improvised, the next match was Edge versus Finn Balor in the Hell in a Cell match. Edge did picked up the victory. It was my first time seeing a Hell in a Cell match in person, so that was kind of cool. And even during this match, I want to say it was the ladder shot. Edge hit Finn with the ladder, and Finn had like a big cut like in his head, and it took some time off from the match where, once again, the crowd, we seeing, oh, something really happened. You know what I'm saying? They brought the people down. I think they said Finn had got like 14 stitches in his head during the match or something like that. 4 stitches, something. They gave him some stitches during the match, and the whole time, like, Edge was just, you know, going around trying to find weapons and whatnot, trying to kill some time. And then shortly after that, they quickly got to the ending because we could clearly see, you know, Finn had a big gash in his head, and you really couldn't see the blood because he had face paint on, and he had paint on his chest and everything, so you really couldn't see it, but we figured out later on that night that he suffered like a real injury to his head, and he had to get stitches during the match. So shout out to Finn for pushing through, shout out to Edge for going along with it, but just one of those situations, again, like, real things can happen during these matches, you know what I'm saying? So, but Edge did pick the victory for that match. It didn't get too crazy. I wouldn't say it got crazy in terms of Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, Mankind, Undertaker, Hell. It didn't get that crazy, but it told a good story. And now the main event, Roman Reigns defeated Cody Rhodes for the undisputed title. And I came on here and told y'all, I think Roman Reigns should win. I don't think Cody's ready yet. Whoop-de-whoop. When I tell y'all, SoFi Stadium was like 90% Cody Rhodes and 10% Roman Reigns, yeah, it was that. When Roman Reigns won the match, me and my boy Zoe, we was holding up the one. You saw the ones throughout the stadium. You know what I'm saying? You still had Roman fans throughout the stadium. But when Cody Rhodes lost, and I looked around at our section, and people was like, you saw the same look you saw when Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar. That shocking look. The kids, like, damn near in tears. And I'm like, wait a minute. They really thought Cody Rhodes. This is not like a situation where, okay, some people think Cody Rhodes is going to win, some people think Roman Reigns is going to win. No, most of the crowd had it booked. This is Cody Rhodes' moment. And even when Cody Rhodes came out, they showed Brandy and the kid on the screen. I'm like, oh, yeah, they setting up for Cody to win it. When they show the wife and the kids in the crowd, 9 times out of 10, that means that person about to win. So when Cody Rhodes lost, I was shocked, but at the same time, I was like, okay, I wanted Roman to win. But, y'all, when I say that crowd had a face of shock, and sadness when Cody Rhodes lost, they wasn't singing the song no more. It was like just quiet. It was like flat in SoFi. It was flat. It wasn't no FU Roman chants or nothing. The crowd was just quiet. I'm looking around the people in our session, they sitting down like, this ain't what we came here for. And to put, just to fast forward a little bit, I met people at the bar that we was going to in our area where our Airbnb was at, because that night, a lot of wrestling fans was in the bar. Shocking, I know. But I met guys who came from, like, Ireland saying, like, yo, man. Like, of course, they ain't say, yo, man. They spoke in their accent. They was like, yo, we flew 23 hours to see Cody Rhodes win. And I was like, what? They was like, yo, like, they had the shirt on and everything. Yo, we flew 23 hours to see Cody Rhodes win. And I was like, yo, so everybody was pretty much locked in on Cody Rhodes winning. And I came up here, I said, yo, if Cody Rhodes win, cool. But I felt like Roman Reigns should win. Cody Rhodes just not ready yet. The build to the match didn't give me any thought that, oh, Cody for sure about to win. It's different because people was like, yo, when Batista faced Triple H, that was his first time he won. When John Cena faced JBL, that was the first time he won. I tell people, I was into wrestling heavy during those times. That was WrestleMania 21 in Hollywood. So you had that aspect too, like, yo, Batista and John Cena won their first time in Hollywood. Why can't Cody? It goes back to the build of the match for me. I didn't see the build being as crazy as most people thought it was. When JBL and John Cena faced, that was a storyline. JBL, the rich guy from Texas, John Cena, the young white guy who dresses black from Boston, Massachusetts. Batista, Triple H, Evolution. Batista being Evolution's monster for so long, it's the mentoree defeating the mentor at the time. So those storylines, and it was like months going into it. This Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns match, I think if the build was stronger, I would have been like, yeah, I get it. But you can't tell me Cody Rhodes going to beat Roman Reigns when they haven't even got physical together. That was my thing. You're not about to beat a dude who's been champion almost 1,000 days and y'all haven't even got physical before the match. It just didn't make sense to me at the time, but obviously 90% of the crowd at SoFi Stadium thought it was for sure Cody Rhodes was about to win. And it did. Watching the match, you had all the things. You had the momentum on Roman's side, so Cody got to make a comeback. You had the Usos come in. You had Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens come back. You had Cody Rhodes look like he was about to win. As soon as he was about to win, Solo came back out, who was thrown out. Now, the way he lost, I could say that was some BS, because you had Solo go to the back, but you had him come back out. And normally when that happens, somebody will come out and say, whoa. This guy was banned from ringside. He wasn't supposed to come back out. Let's restart the match. That normally happens, but this time it didn't. And what I got from most of the crowd, people, we walking out of SoFi, people talking. What I got most from the crowd was, one, they tired of Roman being champion, and two, they tired of Roman being champion winning the way he winning with outside interference. That's what it is. I think that's probably more of what it is rather than having Cody win. I don't think it was more of people want Cody to come back to WWE and finally win the title. I don't think it's that, because the argument for me is, Cody has never even challenged for the World Heavyweight Championship in WWE. So now you're telling me all of a sudden he coming back. And like I said, I had him winning last year at SummerSlam if he didn't get hurt. But now when storylines pick up and you looking like that guy from the outside coming your way back in and getting the favoritism and all that, I just think it wasn't time yet. Eventually he will win. I mean, that's kind of predicted at this time that he will eventually win it. But WrestleMania, I mean, you could have went either way with it. But from a person who was there Sunday, the crowd was definitely disappointed that Cody Rhodes did not win. The crowd was definitely disappointed. That might have been one of the biggest letdowns in wrestling. Like, I was seeing the most controversial ending to WrestleMania. I was seeing those headlines the next morning. I was like, whoa, I didn't expect that. But looking back at it, the crowd, it was definitely flat in SoFi. You still had your people shouting for Roman, but overall, It was a bad look. I was like, well, maybe they should have had Cody win because the crowd was not feeling it. The Monday night after Raw, of course, we had the news of the merger with the UFC. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Coming off of WrestleMania, the Raw after Mania is normally a little bit better, but now they had the situation with Cody. He wanted a rematch with Roman. They made it to a tag team match. A lot of fans thought it was Matt Riddle, but he came out during another segment. It was Brock Lesnar came out, and then Brock Lesnar attacked Cody Rhodes. So now people are saying, well, maybe they do the John Cena storyline in terms of Cody Rhodes. He was at the highest at WrestleMania, then he lost. Now he's about to go on this whole probably year or 6 months journey to get back to where he was to the top to possibly win the belt. But we'll see how it goes with this Brock Lesnar storyline. I'm not mad at it. I just wish the Raw after Mania was better. I will say the Raw after Mania wasn't what a lot of people wanted coming off of WrestleMania weekend. And that goes back to Roman Reigns defeating Cody Rhodes. I felt, well, Raw after Mania felt like, of course they had like Bad Bunny was there. It was dope, you know what I'm saying, to be at Crypto, Staples, seeing the statues. That was dope. But in terms of the show, it felt like even like the crowd, you know, Raw after Mania, the crowd is normally like on 10. It felt like a college homecoming. And that Sunday, everybody about to go home. So the energy is now, everybody had fun Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That Sunday, you probably have a good brunch, and then everybody go back to where they came from. That what my Raw after Mania felt like. Felt like everybody was just there because they got tickets to the show, but in reality, everybody was like, okay, let's let this show end. Let's just go home. Because the matches weren't as exciting as we thought. The crowd participation, it was high at the beginning, but when we saw the matches that they was coming out with, it was like, and then we found out that Vince McMahon changed a lot of things. And with all that, it felt like everybody was ready to go home at the Raw after Mania. And I'm going to talk about more about that with LA and everything later on. But, yeah, Roman and Cody, it could have went either way. Of course, I wanted Roman to win, but being there, y'all, that crowd was definitely Cody Rhodes' crowd, and it was flat. I got more faith now with all the information we got throughout the week because after Raw after Mania, everybody was skeptical about Vince McMahon coming back, but SmackDown was great. SmackDown was good. SmackDown made up for the Raw after Mania, but we'll see how it goes from now. But now, let's talk about this merger with the WWE and the UFC. So Monday morning after WrestleMania, we got the news, UFC and WWE are combining. They're merging together for one publicly traded company. UFC is at $12.1 billion. WWE is at $9.3 billion. UFC company parent company, I'll say Endeavor, owns 51% of the company, while WWE shareholders own 49% of the company. And this is something a lot of people thought would happen years ago because we have guys in wrestling with UFC, MMA backgrounds. So it made sense, but it just Dana White and Vince McMahon never came to an agreement on things. And shockingly, after WrestleMania, you know what I'm saying, we got this news. What does it mean? What does it mean? First, I will say, Dana White is thinking logically. Dana White is saying he doesn't want like a crossover event. He doesn't want Roman Reigns to challenge one of the top UFC guys or nothing like that. And I love that. I don't think, if anybody, Brock Lesnar, you know what I'm saying, you don't got to be for no belt or nothing, just have Brock Lesnar do it because he's the one with the MMA background that UFC fans know the most of or whatever the case may be. I don't want a crossover event. I don't want UFC guys to step inside our ring. I don't want WWE guys to step inside the octagon. I just don't want to see that. I just think in terms of advertisement, sponsorships, promotions, I think in that lane, it can work. Just y'all promote us, we promote y'all. Some of our wrestlers come to y'all events. Some of the UFC guys come to our events. It could be a promote, like I said, y'all could do promos, whatever, commercials, YouTube videos, panels, anything but a match between UFC guys and WWE guys. Everything else, I'm cool with. I don't want to see Kofi Kingston versus whoever over. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it. Y'all just get together, merge, do what y'all do, and make money together. We don't need to see no dream match. We don't need to see Conor McGregor versus Roman. We don't need to see none of that. I'm fine with it. You know what I'm saying? Just get money together, be under one umbrella, and trust me, I think both fan bases will be satisfied. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got to really say about this merger. Vince McMahon, I'm not sure where he stands in terms of WWE and creative. I think they're saying Triple H. Like I said, Raw wasn't what we wanted. Raw was more Vince McMahon, but SmackDown was more Triple H. And really, in terms of WWE, we just got to see what happens from here till whenever. I think they said it'll be approved and finalized later on this year. So it's really just we got to see what happens. But for me, I'm cool with everything. I'm cool with everything else besides crossovers. I don't want to see a crossover. It's been rumored that this might possibly cause roster cuts as well. So we'll see. Really, we'll see. Like, that's all the information we got right now. And we'll see. And WWE did announce that they're having a draft coming up in the next couple weeks. So that'll shake things up in terms of rosters and everything, tag teams. And we'll just see. Coming off of WrestleMania, a lot of things were left in question, but it's just one of the things in the wrestling world where we just got to see how it pan out. And just enjoy the ride while we at it. We might see a downfall. We might see an uptick in things. We just got to see. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got with the endeavor, not the endeavor, but with the merger as of right now. And let's talk about L.A. real quick. My trip to L.A. I spent about 5 days out there. Two things I could automatically say that were trash in L.A. The weather, for one. The weather, it averaged mid-50s to mid-60s the whole time, plus wind. The wind is what really got me. Thankfully, I was able to pack long sleeves and hoodies and pants. But if I were to go back to L.A., I'm going back peak summertime. I would not fool with the spring or nothing. I'm going peak summertime, July, August, something like that. So the weather was trash. Trying to find an Uber was trash for the most part. We did end up getting Ubers, but the request callback and everything, it was longer than normal. Like, normally you in Atlanta. When I'm in Atlanta, Vegas, Puerto Rico, whatever, the Uber will just confirm like that. But Cali, it took a minute to even confirm the Uber pickup. So I was like, well, damn. Like, especially we were trying to go to Hollywood because we were staying in Hawthorne, California. Hawthorne, California, near Inglewood, close to SoFi Stadium. So we tried to go to Hollywood. Hollywood was like an hour away. So that Uber ride was kind of tough to get because no Uber probably want to drive an hour when they got, possibly 5, 10 requests in one area. They don't want to drive an hour out. So that was weird. And I didn't think it would be like that because, like I said, the other big cities I've been to, the confirmation was kind of quick. So, yeah, the weather and the Uber situation were kind of trash. The food options, where we was at, it was a lot of locally owned, like tacos and pizzas and Mexican. It was cool, but it wasn't like I didn't do no research on, I want to go to this restaurant in California or whatever. It was a lot of locally owned spots where we was at. Going back to the bar, the corner bar, I believe it was called, that we was going to. Great vibe. Great vibe. Different races. You got black, white, Spanish people in there. You had like a pool tournament going on. Women was in there, so that was a great plus for me. And like we just going there, a whole bunch of dudes. There was some women in there. The DJ was incredible. I love a good DJ that can throw. I don't know if it was a DJ or the playlist. I really didn't see a DJ in there. So I don't know if they got like a playlist or what set up, but it's good to see that they got music to satisfy all the races that were in there. Like, you'll hear Young Thug 1 minute, you'll hear Tupac 1 minute, you'll hear Bad Bunny the next minute, you'll hear Daddy Yankee the next minute. It was just a great variety of music that kept me, like, cool. Like, that's all I need when I go out. I don't care if it's a bar, a lounge, a club, whatever. As long as the music good, the drink prices were great as well. As long as those two things are good, Tyler's fine. And the ratio of men and women. You know what I'm saying? I need more women or some great-looking women in there, and the dudes be on some chill vibes and all that. That's all I need. I don't need no rowdiness. I don't need people standing up on couches. I just need somewhere I can just chill for a minute, get my good drink in, have some good conversation, and dip out. And like I said, some women in there, had some conversation with them Sunday. And, of course, like I said, after Mania, some wrestling fans. We was up in there deep, and that's when I met the guy from like Ireland saying they flew like 23 hours away. So I was having good conversation in there as well. So overall, the corner bar in Hawthorne, California. If you ever in California, go to Hawthorne and go to the corner bar. It's a great vibe. I didn't have no issues with that. Back to the food, In-N-Out. I did try In-N-Out burger. The burger was amazing. The fries, I had got the animal fries. The only thing with the animal fries I didn't really rock with was the cheese. I thought the cheese was like some melted nacho cheese, like the ones you get in the movie theater, but it's like melted. It's like melted cheese that you like put shredded cheese and you melt it. It was like that kind of melted cheese. If it was like nachos melted cheese, it would have been like a 10. But that melted cheese that they had, it wasn't great. And it wasn't great at the end. Like the beginning, it was cool, but at the end, it was like, okay, there's too much of this melted cheese. So yeah, the animal fries, I probably would do it out next time. Probably just get regular fries. But the burger that I got, the double burger, amazing. Amazing. What else about California? We went to Hollywood. We saw all the landmarks and all that, the Walk of Fame and all that. And we did the 2-hour bus tour. We did a 2-hour bus tour because, one, I really wanted to do it because I was like, man, I don't feel like walking this long strip. And I feel like we'll see more on the tour. You know, they go to the Hollywood Hills, and I feel like we'll see more of that on the tour. And two, I was just ready to get away from all that noise, man. Like, I done been places, y'all. I done been places where, you know, it gets fun. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way I can say it. It gets fun, but Cali, it was just loud. You got fire trucks and ambulance and police cars, and you got the people on the sidewalk dressing like Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan trying to get your attention. I'm like, man, let me get away from all this. So let me go to the Hollywood Hills, and we went up there, man, and of course they show you houses and all that. That was dope, but just seeing like, yo, like, it's not like I thought it was. Like, you go to Atlanta, you more accustomed to seeing like rappers' houses, like in a suburbish gated community, where in Hollywood Hills, it's like the house she showed us, she said Bruno Mars stay at, it was like covered in like trees and shit. Like, you won't even notice a house is there until you get to where the gate is at. It was like, I wouldn't expect Hollywood Hills to have such a secluded, of course, some of them out in the open you can see, but I would think for an artist living in Hollywood Hills, you want to have like a good view or something like that. Like we saw with Nicki Minaj, one of her houses, like she got like a whole view. It's kind of scary at the same time. Like, I understand why Bruno Mars probably want his like on level ground, because that shit is kind of scary. Like, she was like, yeah, Madonna used to stay here, Nicki Minaj used to stay here. And I'm looking at these houses, I'm like, man, that shit feel like you get a strong wind come through this motherfucker, that shit go blow your house all the way down the hill. That what it looked like. I understand you not wanting to stay like on a cliff or something like that, because it does look kind of freaky. I'm not going to lie. And even driving through, she was like, yeah, this is where Kevin Hart had his car wreck at. He was joyriding drunk. I was like, why would you even want to be drinking and driving on this type of shit? Like, this shit, like, just like how Grand Theft Auto is, like, this shit, like, ain't no way I don't want to be tipsy driving through the Hollywood Hills, man. That shit kind of scary. Even when we was on the bus, I was like, yo, we kind of close to this cliff, like, go over a little bit. So, but that was fun overall, just to see the Hollywood sign, look down on Hollywood. I could see how, you watch the shows, they be like, yeah, I come up here to get away from all the commotion and just look at the lights. And I can see how people do that. Like, it's like a great spot to just be like, let me get away from everything, get away from all this damn commotion, all this traffic, and just sit up here for an hour or so to get my mind right. It's definitely one of those type of scenes. So that was dope to see. But overall, I think that's all I got in terms of Hollywood. Like I said, my biggest takeaway. Oh, back to the cultural impact. I'm sorry, the cultural impact. Driving through Sunset Boulevard, and we was on the tour. I forgot what documentary I was watching, but I had told the woman, I said, hey, I had watched the documentary about Johnny Depp Club on Sunset Boulevard. She's like, yeah, I'll take you by there. Like, it's still up and everything. I think it's called the Vapor Lounge or something, the Viper Lounge, something like that. I remember seeing the documentary about it because Joaquin Phoenix, the guy who played the Joker, his brother had died there, I can't remember the documentary Saved My Life where I saw. I think it was on Hulu, but she showed me that, and that's when I really thought of like the cultural, like, damn, I'm riding down Sunset Boulevard, Melrose, and I was thinking, me, I'm thinking all type of shit. I'm like, damn, this probably was Snoop and Dre rode through when the Chronic first dropped. You know what I'm saying? Tupac, when he got home, he was probably riding through here. Kobe and Shaq. You know what I'm saying? Johnny Depp. All the, something about Motley Crue, Tommy Lee, and Pam Anderson. I'm thinking about all, like, the 80s and 90s, Britney Spears, all type of shit. I'm thinking about all that, like, damn, these were these people, they got the comedy clubs. I'm thinking, like, damn, this where these people, like, come to get their business handled. You see Capitol Records. I'm thinking, like, damn, imagine, like, what this establishment over here, how many contracts and negotiations were signed in this building, this restaurant right here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking about that, and that made up for the weather being trash and all that. Thinking about, like, y'all riding through the streets of where big business were handled at. You know what I'm saying? But just like I always say when I go on vacation, it's somewhere I'll visit, but not somewhere I want to stay. Like, that Hawthorne area was cool, but man, the cost of living, the cost of food and all that, man, it's just somewhere you just go in and out. And like I said, next time I go to Cali, it's going to be peak summertime because that weather took me, like, I packed for it, but I didn't know it was going to be like that. When I got back down south, man, I was so happy to get 80-degree, 90-degree weather, man, humidity. I never been so happy to see humidity in my life, man. Man, that jump was crazy. But overall, I enjoyed it. It was a great time to get away. Experience Wrestlemania, experience LA, just the whole vibe, man. I enjoyed myself. But now it's back to business. You know what I'm saying? Fun over with. Till the next vacation later on this year. You know what I'm saying? That's all I can really say. But I'm back. This been episode 206, Stash House Podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you guys go out. Have a great work week, a great school week. Enjoy yourselves. Drink plenty of water. Be aware of your surroundings. Keep me in your prayers. I do the same for y'all. Salute.